Hi art lovers out there. I'm going to deal with the technical aspects of the advantages of painting with a computer as opposed to traditional paint. I'm resizing my background, so I duplicate it by hitting Command or Control J, and then I hit Command or Control T to resize it. And once I resize it, then I'm either going to paint or erase some of it out to match the existing surrounding color. And you'll see me do this several times until I'm satisfied with the exact size that I want for that glow. Here I use the lasso tool by hitting L and isolate off the top part of my candle, and I shift it over a little because I realized that it is slightly off center to the stalk of the candle. Then I clean up the edge because there's a line that's left when you shift things in that manner. Now I shift my background glow a second time in the same manner as I did on the first. In the same way that you saw me do at the top of the candle, to isolate the bottom of the candle, I type the L, the lasso tool, then I hit Command or Control J to duplicate that image. Then I hit Command or Control T. And this allows me to transform or stretch the image to whatever size or shape that I want it to be. After that, I begin to erase unwanted areas of the top image to allow some of the bottom portions of the image to show through that I do want. Here I'll do the same thing to the stock and the handle of the candle as I did with the base. I will isolate it, duplicate it, erase the unwanted area so that the bottom will show through, fitting it to the original candle. Then I decide that I want to have more cool colors in my background. And there are two ways of doing that, either making a layer mask, or in this case I duplicated the background. I clicked on Image, then Adjustment, Selective Color, and in the Colors bar I clicked the down arrow and chose Neutral, and that was for an overall color change. I also chose Hue Saturation because different parameters do different things to the color. I shifted the colors to what I liked and erased out the areas that I did not want and left some of the cooler colors, and then introduced some additional colors into that. I decided I wanted to soften some of the paint modeling on the background. So I duplicated the background, clicked on Filter, then Blur, and then Gaussian Blur to soften it to the degree that I wanted. And then erased out some of the areas that I wanted the original background to show through on, so everything was not completely soft. Here I changed the values of my background by using a levels mask that allows me to change how light or dark I want something to be. Then I erase out the areas that I don't want and leave just the right amount for my background. Here I shift my background glow for a third time to try and get it in a better position still. Same as before. Here I isolate off or marquee off the upper portion of the candle and create a layer mask, and then darken it, erase off a section I don't want. This creates a shadow on the left and right side of the candle, which will help with roundness. Now I isolate off the candle holder and choose a layer mask, selective color, and brighten the candle holder and erase off the areas that I don't want to utilize. Here, after painting my shadow, I use Control T to transform the shape of the shadow to something that is more fitting. Then I will change the opacity while I'm on that layer to make it a little lighter to fit. So I intentionally painted a little darker because I knew I wanted to make the opacity change as well. Then I make painting adjustments into it. Here I'll use the selective color neutral layer mask to shift the color because I want some of the purplish hues to come into this shadow. Then I create a levels layer mask, which affects the lights, the darks, the pales, so forth, to brighten the area around where the glow hits the floor. And I erase out what I don't want. Here I realized that the bottom portion of the candle holder was crooked. So I marqueed it off or isolated it off, duplicated it, then I use Edit, Transform, then Skew to shift it upward to straighten that out. Once I straightened it out, I erased off the portion I didn't want, which was the right side of it. I duplicate it again, click Edit, Transform, flip horizontally, and then I erase off the unwanted areas, and I paint back into it my shadow side colors, and this gives me more accuracy in my drawing. I repeat the same process again on the base of the candle holder by duplicating it. Then I go to Edit, Transform, and then flop horizontally. And I make painting adjustments so that it will fit the base of the candle. I decided I wanted a little darker edge to separate the surface that the candle was sitting on from, say, the surrounding darkness in the distance. And that edge would be soft. To do that, I did a layer mask and darkened it and erased off what I didn't want and adjusted the transparency level just so it would be very subtle. I'm making a smoke stream design, and I will make an adjustment on it. First, I shift the amount of transparency or opacity for that level. Then I will shift the design by going to Edit, Transform, and Perspective. And I tilt out the top end of it to the shape that I like. And as well as I will soften it with a Gaussian blur. I repeat the same process as you saw me do with the first smoke stream design. I'm adding to it, and the fun part again is I can do it at full opacity, and then I simply lessen that opacity. Then I do the Gaussian blur again, and then I can change the shape of it, which is one of those very fun things, which allows me to go to Edit, Transform, and then I actually warp the shape rather than having it directly over top of the candle. I warp it to go below it for better design. Now I'll marquee off the candle for the entire layer by holding Command or Control and then click on the level itself, and that gives me the complete marquee for the entire layer. Then I create a layer mask, which allows me to lighten or darken, and then I will erase out specific things that I don't want. So those are some of those quick fixes that you can do in digital form that you cannot do in traditional form. I hope you gained some insights, and I'll see you next time.